Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Lance, you got yours. I got my little green tag. Katie, come on, Katie.
And my eyes are green.
Oh,
there you go. Always red.
Nice save. Hey, Michael, can you close this door in here? I'm hearing a lot of stuff going on. There are the certificates, and there are the please ask questions. We're going to answer a bunch of questions today. Let's go to the poll questions. Number one, the 7A 25-year secondary market price hit 120 this week. Yes or no? Trick question, Lance. Do you know the answer that came over this morning?
Well, I haven't seen the rates, but it has been above 120.
Right. It's 122. So we will give everyone a yes on that one. And 122, that's on a 90% guarantee, Lance. That's pretty healthy.
Pretty great non-interest income for a bank that wants to sell the guarantee portion of the loan. And of course, the 90% guarantees allow us to sell more of it easily.
Yeah. Now remember when we hit that, and I try to make things, give definitions for people who don't know what we're talking about. When we say 120, we're talking about a 20% premium. So we're selling a $1 million guarantee. We get a check from the secondary market for $1,200,000. That's what that means. Talk to your CFO on how to take that into income. But most of that is a hit in the income in the year that is sold, right, Lance? There's complicated formulas I'm not going to bore you with, but it's well over 50%.
Yeah.
And there's prepayments and whatever. We're going to have Bob Judge on later on, and we'll talk about this. And Joseph, make a note. Let's talk about income recognition. Also, remember, anything over 110, there's a tax from this. You have to split it. So if you sell for 122, your net effect on that is actually 115.5. Correct, Lance? If my math is right?
I think that's right, Bob.
Katie, this one's for you, or have we been able to extend the PPP loan program?
I'll wait till everybody answers first.
There you go. Yeah, unlike Lance, who just blurts it out. Katie, how do our people do?
Yeah, so it is looking like it is most likely going to be extended. We'll get into a little more in a bit. There are both House and Senate bills on this, and it really is looking like this is the date they're going for right now.
And what we'll talk about that more later. But yes, we are looking at a May 31st date. Which, Lance, how important is that to Main Street, do you think?
I think it's critically important, Bob, because the regulations to PPP are changing as we go through it. So some people's loan amounts have changed. The way they apply has changed. And there's still demand for PPP on Main Street. So it needs to be extended. The money hadn't been used.
I know it's not required, but Joseph, let's ask the question tomorrow, which is how many lenders are requiring the 2020 tax returns? Now, it's not required, but I do know some lenders are asking for that. Correct, Lance?
Some are. Yes.
So I'd like to know that. Will SBA 504 loans be able to be refinanced with another SBA 504 loan? Yes, no, who knows? Lance?
Well, the answer is yes, and we're waiting on guidance from SBA on how that process is going to work. I think it's going to be a huge deal for 504 lenders throughout the country because, some of those 504 loans that were done several years ago at a higher interest rate can be redone at the incredibly low rates that we have in play right now.
Lance, did we refinance a 7A or a first lien 504 loan, which is also eligible as well as USDA? How do we handle prepayment penalties? Will those be enforced or will those be waived?
There'll still be prepayment penalties.
Okay, so it's not contingent upon that. Finally, this is for you, Lance, and the reason why I'm asking this question on NAICS codes is NAICS codes are becoming more and more important as we determine eligibility in loans amounts for PPP. Also critical in terms of analysis that you are doing and where they lay. Lance, I had a conversation with someone, and I know you have, on can we correct an NAICS code that a company's been using for the last 10 years? Can we correct it?
You should be able to correct it in E-Trend. However, Bob, I've heard from some that it's not, that it is not allowing that.
So pay attention to the NAICS codes.
Well, and
Primarily,
I think
what, Lance, the tax return? Is that where we're primarily
yeah,
working
the
on?
best place to get the correct NAICS code for a business is off the tax return.
Katie, we have a new administrator, Ms. Guzman, Isabel Guzman, and she was confirmed yesterday by a bipartisan vote of 81 to 17. Comment.
Yeah, so I just figured I'd give you a little bit of a background. I know we talked about it early on when she was first nominated, but it's been a little while. Senate has been a little busy with other issues right now. So she was confirmed yesterday, like you said, in a bipartisan vote, 81 to 17. I did look into that a little bit, and that's a pretty normal number to see, that 17. Historically, you'll see it usually bump up clear into like around the 20s or so with nominations. So that's not unusual at all and not something to be concerned about. She most recently served as the director of California's Office of Small Business Advocate, a department within the California Governor's Office of Economic Development. She's been serving on that since she left the Small Business Administration. She used to be the Deputy Chief of Staff during the Obama administration. And she's also worked as a strategic initiative, as the Director of Strategic Initiatives at Pro America Bank previously. Her family's also small business owners, and she was very involved with her family's businesses as well.
And Pro America Bank's based out of Los Angeles. I'm sorry, I think she was also the state director of the California program. I think you made that clear. So congratulations. Normally they get to start right away, and we'll see what type of initiatives and what type of movement. She has a Herculean task in front of her, Lance.
Well, SBA is not what it was in 2019. It's, yesterday on the show.
2020.
Yesterday on the show, we had a chart that showed the incredible effort, and Chris Hearn talked about it at the end of the show when comparing to previous years. When you add EIDL and PPP in there, SBA was involved with about 10 to 12 times more work in financing and providing capital to Main Street last year than they ever have in the history of the program. So,
yeah. So, and of course, the administrator is important for setting the tone and the direction of the agency. We do not see any major changes from previous administrators. So that's, the commitment here is to get the money out to Main Street, get it out as quickly as possible. So that'll be nice that we have an advocate now after, 2 months to be able to do that. So the House passes the extension, amazing vote, 415 to 3. It's now sent to the Senate. What's going to happen? Is the Senate going to be able to move on this quickly, or are they going to be held up?
We are expecting a little more information on that later today. The Senate has a companion bill that's essentially the same rules. It's still that extension till May 31st with an extra 30 days to process anything that's still held up in the system due to hold codes or anything like that. They're the same exact bill essentially, but the House did pass their version of it. So we anticipate the Senate to pass this one, but like I said, they do have their own version and no real changes there. So we will probably hear more details on that later today. Unfortunately, we just don't know if the Senate's going to pass their version or the House version yet. But it is looking like that May 31st date is the one that they've both settled on.
I agree with you. May 31st date will be there. It's just a matter of when. Vicki says there's a trade organization that states, it's gone on the record, that it's difficult to get passage in the Senate before the recess. I'm not too concerned about that, whether it's in the recess, whether they do it now or after they come back from their spring recess. We're still good to go for a couple weeks, and these things always tend to go down to the wire, but they tend to work themselves in the end, right, Lance?
That's exactly right, Bob. And again, there's a ton of money available, and there's also plenty of demand. So
yeah, okay. And here we go. These are the quotes, and I think there we are. And you can see the higher term, obviously the highest spread. If you have a prime plus 1.5 deal, obviously there's a haircut on the price, but it's not that bad, Lance, is it?
no, it's not that bad. But if you want to maximize, you're going to be at prime plus 2 3/4,
And
adjusting quarterly.
And if you're a 7A lender, there is an appetite out there for fixed rate 7A loans. So if that's something that you need to put together to compete with 504, and we're not supposed to talk about 504 competing with 7A, but you can do fixed rate loans, and there's an appetite in the secondary market for that. Lance, have you done any of that, any fixed rate lending on 7A?
No, Bob.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go down that route, you can. You might as, it's just another option that you have. So secondary market is strong. Christy says, please provide guidance regarding the lender's option to work with the borrower regarding any identified inability to pay anything over $9,000 on the monthly payment.
Well, from what I've read, Bob, it indicates that you can do a deferral, principal payment deferral on if they have the inability to pay the excess. So
how long can we do that?
Well, you can do it typically in this circumstance, I would say, because the 11, 12 payments are 2 months at a minimum, possibly 3 months. In some instances, it's going to be 5 months, but I'd kind of coincide it with the length of the CARES Act payments.
Okay.
And a deferment is unilateral, and SBA and guidance they issued did say that it's okay to defer the additional part of the principal payment.
Lance, how much of an analysis, how much of documentation should the lender have? Now, I know it's dollar sensitive, but obviously if these are over 9,000, this is...
Well, you need to have a decent servicing memorandum written up to explain the need for the deferment, but I don't think this is going to take a 10-page analysis, Bob. It's part of the CARES Act. So, I'd write up a good solid 1-page memorandum showing, and typically a servicing memorandum says, here's where we're at today, here's what we'd like to do, and here's the justification.
And this is why we're doing it. Yeah, I agree with you, Lance. It doesn't have to be 10 pages. Are you getting updated financials? Are you getting tax returns? Are you getting documentation to support that?
Typically, I would want to have a current balance sheet and income statement, the most recent tax return.
Lance, what do we do? Do we identify a plan B? Do you have that conversation with the borrower at this point in time and say, okay, what happens if you can't make the payments in 6 months? Do we
Well,
go
I think
there?
you have to have a real serious conversation with your borrower, and the reason, Bob, is a workout plan may be what's necessary to get this borrower through this difficult time. So you need to have a detailed discussion. Is it a temporary problem? When you look at deferments, a deferment's definition in the SOP, it says it's a temporary solution to a temporary problem.
Real quick, what is a workout plan required?
Workout plan is pretty clear in the SOP 5057.2 how to do a workout plan. If you guys will pull up your 5057.2 and do a Control F and type in workout plan, it'll give you all the details on how to effectively implement a workout plan.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying is, do we do the workout plan now? Do we go into liquidation now? I know it depends. It depends.
A lot of it depends on the circumstance, Bob. There's not one size fits all.
Fair enough.
So, I think you have to have a good, serious conversation with your borrower. Is this a temporary issue? Or is it something that after the CARES Act payments, they're going to continue to struggle? If that's the case, then, looking at implementation of a workout plan is a good path.
The reason why I raised the subject is it's something don't do without any documentation. Put it down on paper so everyone can see it, the regulators, SBA, whatever, and what your thinking is. If it's temporary, hey, business has been closed since November. Looks like they're going to be open up in 2 weeks, partial or not, whatever it is, and we think that'll do it, and that's sufficient. And you can even put in there, we don't think a workout plan at this time is appropriate. And that's therefore everyone knows what your thinking is. And again, SBA very rarely second guesses what I would call a prudent lending decision, because that's a prudent decision, Lance.
Absolutely.
Jared says, is it correct that the second draw for those who got first draw loans in 2021 cannot have a note date prior to the forgiveness period being completed?
Not gotten full guidance on that yet. We did see release of some information that indicated that someone who got a first draw PPP loan in 2021 can now apply for a second draw PPP loan. But as Chris was sharing yesterday, and I agree, we've not gotten guidance as to whether you have to wait until the covered period is over. So we're not sure at this point.
I know, very good. Linnell says, and this is for Katie. Katie, do we know the total amount of idle loans that were dispersed last year? Do you have that at your fingertips?
I don't have it at my fingertips right now. The SBA does have, if you type in SBA data in Google, they have a specific page now dedicated to the data side of PPP and EIDL, things like that, and it will walk you through. You can pick the date that you want to look at and see a section of that and see how much was dispersed, how much was used, where it went, things like that. So the data is available on the SBA website.
Katie, you've been instrumental in putting this together. Give us a quick overview on the work you've done, and we're ready to release this franchise NAICS report for 2021. Give us a quick overview.
Yeah, it's a great report that definitely helps you organize your thoughts very easily. You can quickly look at specific NAICS codes, specific franchises, and see how they've historically done. We've broken out a little bit differently this year, so you can see more common trends versus what's going on right now, what might have impacted it due to the coronavirus and things like that. So you can kind of see the difference between those two things. But it's a great way to quickly check those things and ensure you're making a good decision on these loans.
Lance, what we did this year, we did two things differently. Number one, we do have the data, 10-year data from 2011 through to 2020. But obviously 2020, everything looked rosy. So we did a 7-year analysis from 2012 through 2018. That may give a little clearer picture of what the actual defaults are, because the way the data is, loans approved, obviously 2019, 2020, they're not yet going to show up in the charge-off level. We did one other thing, which is also interesting. We took the top 25 NAICS codes, and we took the top 20 franchise codes, and we did it by year cohorts. So, for example, for restaurants, we actually go back, and you can go back to the year 2015, see how many loans are made, and of those cohort, how many were charged off. So obviously, that way you can go back historically and see what it is for individual years. You can see the trend, and you get the average as well. So, Katie, I think we're over 300 pages or something ridiculous that we put.
Yeah, I think both. They are two separate reports. There's the NAICS and the franchise reports. Both of them, I believe, are over 300 pages. The good thing is they're all searchable. So if you're looking for something specific, you can just Control F and find what you're looking for. So you don't have to read all 300 pages.
No, we're not asking you, but it's the teams, Joseph and Michael and Katie have done a good job putting it together. PPP Answer Desk is rocking and rolling, and so Katie and Lance have been on that. Lance, I understand we're going to be missing you the next 2 days, so have a safe trip.
Thank you. I've got a closing tomorrow, and then I'm heading to Indianapolis for the NCAA basketball tournament.
You have a great couple days off. Drive safe, my friend. And these are some of our upcoming webinars. Hey, we respect your time. We're stopping right on time. Katie, thank you very much. Lance, as always, we thank you for your time. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, which Lance is going to be driving through a lot of them. One entrepreneur at a time.
Have a good day.